Okay, so good morning, guys. Welcome back. We will continue with our Docker session. So today is Docker Day 5 session, and today the date is 20th of your December 2025, and the timing is morning 8:07 a.m. IST. So thank you guys for joining the session, and we are almost near to ending of this year, right? 2025. Like hopefully by end of this month, actually we will try to complete the Docker actually, right? But the thing is that actually, guys, because we are parallelly taking AWS also, I'm planning to complete the AWS very soon. Another next 4 5 sessions, I will plan to complete that also. Once that is completed, then we'll take more and more Docker session and try to complete it, because our main motto is to complete Docker very well as to take up the Kubernetes by January. Okay, in January also, like we need to parallelly take up the AWS very well, because I have to take a lot of other major services like IAM, I have to take it. Uh, AWS compliance and governance, all such topics are very good topics which I have to take it. Let's see, guys, how much we will try to cover in this month itself, the AWS part. Okay, next, but next year, I mean the January onwards, what happened, right? Like we'll try to cover some major important things like your S3 bucket or EC2 compute service, right? Those two services I need to complete in January month, because in the February month you will be covering many other services in AWS, important services like database, RDS, and also some other services like code commit, code pipeline, cloud formation templating, Elastic Bean Stack. So many serverless services are there which I need to cover it. So first, these are the major 3 4 services are there, right? Which we the one good part is that actually we completed the networking. Actually, we are about to complete the networking. That is something like which almost occupies 25% of your time, right, in AWS learning. That we are completing now. That is a good part. Okay, fine. So let us get back to the today's topic. So today we are going to take up some few important things, guys. Before we do that, let us try to quickly recap what we did on day 4. In yesterday's session, we'll try to understand like how exactly Docker internally works, right? Because we know that Docker has some three important concept. So that is nothing but the Linux concept. We have some of the C groups, capabilities, and namespace, right? And whenever we create any Docker container, we know that all these resources of the Linux kernel are utilized for you to create the container, right? And that is what the ease which the Docker has made it, right? So Docker has developed some kind of a wrapper or the libraries through which what happened, right? It uses these resources to create the Docker container, right? And whenever Docker containers are getting created, you know that Docker container will get its some of the namespaces, right? For example, PID namespace, mount namespace, which is the file system namespace, net namespace, user namespace, right? That there are different 4 types of namespaces are getting created for each and every container. So that's what we say, that actually each and every container is isolated actually, right? It's an isolate. It gets its own isolation. It means that it gets its own namespace, we say, right? And every Docker container will get its own operating system also. A very small minimal operating system is also provided for each and every container. So we had understood about all these things, right? So what is today's agenda? Guys, today we will try to install the Ubuntu. Sorry, you will try to install the Docker onto the Ubuntu, because all these days we were using Docker with Playground, right? So that is what we are using it. And Docker, we can use it Docker with Playground even to learn many other concepts. But I would recommend not to go with the Docker with the Playground, because Docker with the Playground you might get only for 1 or 2 hour session, that we know that there's a limitation of the number of hours given for each and every user. That is one thing. Secondly, sometime you might not get this session at all, because there will be a lot of people who want to use Docker, right? So they will be using this Docker playground. So you might not get the session at that time when you want to practice it. And also what happened, right? Like sometime what happened, the Docker with playground might not respond it properly, because of, again, because of huge traffic, right? Multiple people are using Docker with playground, so you might not get a proper response, right? Even I have faced personally sometime, right? If I'm working on Docker with playground, it goes into very slow actually. I will not be able to get quick response from it. So to overcome from all these things, it's better that you need to have your own server and you can install the Docker in that and you can start learning all kind of a Docker concept with your own system itself. Okay, so that's what we'll be doing today. Before we get into that, let us try to understand something about. See, you take the application whenever you're building in any application, right? Say, for example, you got one requirement where you need to build a book my show application, or you want to deploy, or you want to design something like a Netflix application, or any kind of an application which you want to develop. Okay, so basically all kind of application they falls under the two category, whether it is a stateful or whether it's a stateless actually. So let us try to understand what is stateful or what is stateless versus stateful. So guys, this again what happened. No, the stateless and stateful. No, you this is something crazy. Why I'm saying crazy? Because you go to any tool actually. Suppose for example, you will find this stateless and stateful very commonly used across in almost all the tool or in almost all the technologies. Suppose in Kubernetes you go, they'll ask you what is stateless, what is stateful set. Like that they're going to ask it. When it comes to networking, they'll ask you what is the stateless and stateful. Okay. Similarly with the Docker, similarly with something known as a and Terraform also we have something stateless and stateful. You go anywhere, this is very commonly used actually, and it confuses a lot because like the way the context it is used for representing what is stateful and stateless is completely different from one tool to other tool. The meaning is not same actually. So to that tool's context, what happens, the stateless and stateful differs actually from one tool to other tool. Literally speaking, if you try to learn the stateless and stateful for each and every tool, right, you yourself will a little get confused, like how to answer if any kind of question is asked. You remember in the networking class in AWS, right? I told when I discussed about the security groups and when I discussed about the NACL, I said that there is something like a stateless and stateful is there. You remember? Now I said that what is stateful and stateless? I said that security groups falls under the stateful category and NACL falls under the stateless category. Then again you need to define what is stateful, stateless. What is the meaning of that actually? So similarly, you have something stateless and stateful in Kubernetes, which again the meaning is different. And when it comes here in Docker and when we are discussing about the application, we said that there are two types are there. So this is something which is little bit confusing, but we can't do anything else. We can't help out. You need to learn in this way only. And literally speaking, like you need to keep up all this. You have to mug up and keep it in your mind whenever you want to discuss about the status stateful in a front of intro, right? You need to really appropriately tell what is the meaning for in that particular tool's context. Like in case of Kubernetes, if they ask, you need to tell about what is stateless and stateful. When it comes to normal application level, you have to tell it. So that is one little painstake I'm saying, which you need to remember, practice it because this is a conceptual thing actually. I mean, you can't remember for a long time. You need to again refer it to a notes or again listen to somebody who's talking about this stateless, stateful. Then only you'll remember the things actually. Right, but yeah, before you go for interview, just make sure that you go through the stateless and stateful and try to understand the concept and tell the same thing because in interview, for some reason they ask this question as if like they are dealing with the stateless stateful, as if like they are dealing like that. That's how they ask these questions actually. But that is a routine, a normal interview process that they ask this question very commonly in every interview actually. Now, when it comes to here, the context of stateless and stateful in case of a application level, I'm just saying in the application level, I'm saying because we are designing the application, right? So we say we categorize this application to two categories. One is stateless and stateful. Now, what is stateless and stateful? Say, for example, consider that stateless application actually. Stateless is a type of an application where the application doesn't keep any kind of a data locally. Oh my God. The application app doesn't keep the data locally. It means that, say, for example, if I want to tell about, like, for example, your application front end you have, right? What is the front end, guys? The application front end is nothing but your business, or you call it a web store, right? Or else you have something as a web server. Usually what happens, right? This web server, it doesn't keep any data actually. It doesn't keep the data locally. It doesn't store, I mean to say, it doesn't store or it doesn't keep it. Doesn't keep the data locally or store the data locally. What usually do? Like whenever the front end application or the web store is generating the data, right? The front end, what it will do that it's going to send a request to the back end, and the back end is nothing but your application server. So whenever the application which doesn't keep any kind of data locally, okay, or it doesn't store the local data locally, that we call it as a stateless application. Okay, so it doesn't keep it. It try to pass on that data, whatever it generates, to the other application, to the other layer actually, right? So here in this case, you know that the front end web server is going to send the data to the back end or to the application server. Even the application server also, app server also is also falls under the category of stateless only. Because what happened, right? Again, what happened, right? This app service or on the application server, it doesn't keep it data. It doesn't keep it any kind of a data locally. Right. So because the application server, what it does, right, basically it takes the input or it takes the data, whatever the request has been sent, it processes data, some kind of a log is generated. Yeah, that log it try to have in the locally in some folder actually or in some directory. And later what happened, all the data store, whatever the application has to do, that it cannot do it. It again it sends a request or it forwards that data to your database server, your database servers. Yeah, database server is something, yes, where what happened, it stores the data locally. Either that local storage would be in the same system, or the local storage, wherever it's storing, it will be something on an external storage drive where that external storage drive is mounted onto this database actually. Right, sir? So now the database will act like a stateful. So database comes under this stateful category. Why? Because it stores the data locally. So whenever any kind of an application which stores the data locally or it stores the data to any kind of a mounted disk actually, that we call as a stateful application. Right. Now the thing is that simple, guys. Like for example, you say that like we have an application running here, and this application stores the data into this database. Right. Assume that if the application goes down, if this application goes down, or if the application will get killed, okay, you can recreate a new application. So while creating a new application, it means that you can recreate a new instance actually, a new instance of that application. When you create a new application, do you think that the data is lost? The data is not lost because the data is still persist in the database. Now as soon as you create a new application, what happened, that application will try to connect to your database and it can access all the data what is there in the database. So literally you are not losing any kind of a data, right? You can have one instance of that application, you can have several instances of the same application. If one application is killed, no problem, you can restart one more application, or you can initiate a new application, but still the data persists, it is there actually. Similarly, if the application is running and if the database is running, if the database goes down actually, if the database goes down, then it means that you're losing the data, right? Because this application might be generating much more data, but when you try to pass the data, the database is not there. Now, what will happen, that whatever the data which it was generated, right, the data will be lost actually. You will not be able to get the data anywhere. So now the thing is that how to overcome from that? Yeah, you said that, Rajesh, just try to create one more new database or initiate a new database again. Yeah. So initiating new database again, what happened? It is a time consuming. It requires one other hardware resource. It requires it everything. So scaling of your database is little complex. I'm not saying it is impossible. It is little complex because you need to add on the auto scaling group actually, where what happened, right? You can have you will be doing a vertical scaling of it. It means that if this database is there in any one server, actually, like this, in one server, it is you are having the database. You need to have one more instance of the same database, like this. You need to have one more instance of the same database, right? And then what happened, right? You need to do all kind of a configuration, and again you need to make sure that your application get reconnected back to again to this database. So some kind of a pain is there here to do it, but eventually what happened, you can able to achieve it, right? So now the thing is that here, that's what we categorize this application to two category, right? Now, if you remember in our few session back, right? I think in day 3 or somewhere, right? Like not here in day 3 or day 4. I think day 2. Oh, come on. Where is the diagram? We had a three-layer architecture, no? Where is it? Yeah, this is the day 1 only. Now you could see that actually we had a three-layer architecture: web store, business logic application, and database. So web store and the business logic, which is not the application, so this is called it as a stateless application. Whereas a database is a stateful application. Stateless application, one advantage of stateless being stateless, that you can scale as much you require actually. Whenever, suppose assume that this is nothing but your web store Nginx actually. This has a capacity to take 5,000 requests. Assume that that is a threshold of it. So now tomorrow you say that Rajesh, it can take up to 5,000 connection, but tomorrow all of a sudden some 8,000 connection came. No problem, sir. You can scale up this one easily. You can scale it up because it's stateless, right? Stateless. Whenever you have stateless, scaling up, scaling down will become quite easy. You don't have to really worry. You have to just enable the auto scaling. You can increase it actually. Similarly, same thing with the business logic or nothing with your application work. Because since it is stateless, it doesn't store any data locally. You can scale down and scale up, as much as possible based on your server capacity. You can scale up and scale down. That because of auto scaling. But whereas a database, which is a stateful, here what happened, right? You are having a dedicated database server where the database is running. Now again, what happened if there is a lot of load or a lot of stress happen to this application, to the database where it is running in this data server, you need to scale up actually. Scale up, it means that you need to purchase one more database server, create one more database, install one more database instance, configure everything, and then attach to it actually. That will act like a secondary database. So here what happens, scale down, scale down, it is achieved. I'm not saying no, but what happened, it needs a lot of effort to do it actually, right? Am I clear, sir? So I think, guys, I hope that you understood the context of what is stateful and stateless, right? With the application context, right? Application level context, we understood it. Okay, good. Now, so with that, we'll try to understand even like what is the difference between monolithic and microservices. Again, the application, when you're designing this application, you can design the application to be as a monolithic application and other is a microservices. If I want to tell you in a very high level, okay, which is the approach you follow when you try to do monolithic and microservices. In today's time, guys, whenever you're building any small application, in today's context, I'm saying, not previously, in today's context, when we are building any small application, we tend to approach with making it as a monolithic actually. Monolith. And whenever we are building some large application where a lot of components are there in that application or a lot of modules are there, we will tend to go with the microservices. The same story was not before. Like before, what happened when you are trying to build a very large application or whichever application which you are building very long back, like some 7 or 10 years back, before 2010, right? Like when the application was getting built, right? All those applications which were built earlier were monolithic application itself actually. So there was only one design architecture which they follow was a monolithic application. Correct, sir? Now the thing is that here what happened, right? Monolithic is something like where, say for example, you are building your Amazon website actually, right? The Amazon website is a very large application. It's a very big application actually. So when you are designing that application, assume that you follow an approach of your monolithic actually. So then what basically they do, right? Like they try to take this application, they will have a server here. So let me take up some images. So I'll take this server. So this is my server. And whenever you're building like uh, like Amazon.com or whatever, whichever big large e-commerce application you build, right? You try to build as a single large big e-commerce application like this, and you try to go and deploy in your server actually. This is called as a monolithic application. A large application, you try to tend to make everything run under under the same server actually. Correct, guys? Right? Similarly, this large application, it might even require the web server, right? What you will do basically? So what you do basically, guys? You tend to take one more server. Here you'll take one more server. And here what you do on top of it, you will try to have the e-commerce web server or web store, we say. Correct, right? And again, similarly, you have one more server here where what happened, right? You will try to manage your database actually. Say, for example, you are deploying or you are having a MySQL, so you'll have a MySQL server installed in this server. So, in case of a vertical, what happened, right? Usually, the whole application is written into a single large program, and then like you deploy the whole large program in one server. Okay, so of course, the capacity of the server will be very high. Say, for example, if the capacity of the server is something like 16 core CPU, right? 16 core CPU and something like 32 GB of RAM. Assume that this is the capacity of your server. So you're running your entire application onto that big, huge server. Okay. There might be a chance where your application might be consuming the entire CPU, or else it might not really require 16 CPU core CPU. Assume that it needs only 8 core CPU, right? And it doesn't need a 32 GB of RAM, it might need only 12 GB of RAM. But still, what happened while deploying this application, you have chosen a very big server actually. So you have invested a lot of money, and this is nothing but this is what the server configuration. And usually, what happened, right? It will be running, but you would see that actually there will be a lot of wastage of your hardware. So it means that you are not completely utilizing whatever the maximum capacity the server can provide. You are not utilizing it completely. So in case of here, what happened, right? In case of Montical, you will be running some big, large application onto the server, right? And whenever this application requires the hardware resources, based on that, you can try to add on or you can even remove it, right? That you can do it actually. But one problem is that actually one small problem is that suppose that this is your e-commerce application which is running, and at the other side, what happened, right? You know that this e-commerce application, what the developer has did, right? Developer basically they have the source code actually, which they are designing it. It means that they have the entire source of the code actually, which they have kept in somewhere in their Git repository here. This is nothing but your Git repository, right? And what the developer will do basically, the developer will be sitting here and he will be doing a lot of code changes and he'll be pushing the code changes, everything for this e-commerce application into this Git. And here what happened, right? You have something known as a Jenkins server, where Jenkins server act like a CI/CD pipeline. Now you say that Rajesh, whenever we try to do a lot of code changes, we of course we try to go and deploy into the dev environment, to the test environment. You do the testing, you do all the activities. Finally, we have to go and deploy into the production environment. Assume that this is a production environment and you have written a production CI/CD pipeline. Now the problem is that actually what happened in case of Motika is that so because e-commerce application is a very large application. It's a very large application. It has many different models within it. Like for example, you have something like a login service will be there. You'll be having something like a catalog service. You'll be having something like a card service. You'll be having something like a payment service. You are having your different services all together running inside a single e-commerce application. Then in that case, what happens if the developer is trying to do any one changes to any one of the model or any one of the component of your application? What happens that you have to take the whole application, you have to redeploy a new application. Got it right? So it means that you are just trying to do one changes in one part of the model of the application, but you cannot. But for making it to affect what happened that you need to compile or you need to build the whole application altogether, and then like you need to deploy the whole application. So it means that when you are trying to push it, when you're trying to do it, obviously at the end, whenever you want to deploy it, you use some kind of a CI/CD pipeline to deploy it. When you're trying to deploy it, so what the application happens, assume that this application currently which is running is nothing but the version 1.1. And whatever your design now, it is version 1.2, and you want to deploy that 1.2 version. So through a pipeline, when you're trying to go and deploy it, basically you'll see the downtime of this application. It means that first you have to make this application down, okay, uninstall this application, okay, pull that code, everything, whatever is there in the kit for 1.2 version, build that and go and deploy in the server. So this is a painstaking because that one is that actually that in case of Modika, you have to completely build the whole application one more time. The complete you have to build it and then like you need to deploy it. So while deploying it, you might see some kind of a downtime of that application. And in the production, you cannot make any application down for longer time because your customers are using those application. If they see any kind of a downtime, usually what happens, customer they will not tolerate any kind of a downtime of the application. They want always the application to be accessible at any time, right? So you cannot make it down for longer time, and you cannot say to the customer, okay, we are going and deploying a new application, man, wait for some time. So you cannot tell or you cannot give all such reasons to the end customer stating about that you are upgrading that application or trying to redeploy. That and all you cannot tell it. So if you want to still achieve, the high availability of the application, then it means that the same instance of the application should be there, in the multiple servers. It means that you need to have the same instance like this. You need to have the same instance like this. Like this, you need to have into the cluster and into the cluster environment. Okay, you have to take out one instance of the server from the cluster, upgrade to one version, and then add into the cluster. Similarly, you have to take another one, upgrade. It means that you are doing something like a rolling update strategy. You are following it actually because you are doing one at a time, right? Again, that is a time consuming, right? It's a time consuming, and you have to make sure that the upgrade has gone properly, and and whatever you have deployed from one dot to the other version, it is working fine, and it when you're making that newly updated application join to the cluster, yeah, it should happily join also, right? Finally, you will see that all the servers which are there in the cluster type, they have upgraded to the version 1.2. And now what happened, right? The customer will get what are the traffic that it is sent by to the customer, right? Then what happened? The customer can see that the version 1.2 is available. It means that he is getting all kind of new feature from that application. So this is what we follow in the real time when we are working on monolithic actually. But again, you saw that monolithic has a lot of disadvantages are there because while upgrading the application, while deploying any kind of a new feature for the application, uh, like uh, uh, doing all this activity is quite challenging in case of your monolithic actually. Now, what happened, right? That's the reason what happened, right? This microservice came into the picture actually. Microservices are something like lightweight service. It means that the whole e-commerce application, you are going to break down into multiple services actually. So you take a whole e-commerce application, you take this whole big e-commerce application, you take this whole e-commerce commerce application, and what you do, guys, you basically break down into uh, what happen small services like this actually, like this. Say for example, this is application and e-commerce application. It has some kind of a login service, or we call it as an identity service. So this is something because a identity service actually. Identity service. Similarly, you have something known as a what you call catalog service. Catalog service, something like guys, where you want to show many of the products, right? Like a lot of products are like, for example, if you go to Amazon.com or Amazon.in, you will see that hundreds of products are there, right? It is showing you some kind of a catalog or a category, right? So you want to display it, all those catalogs. So you have something like a catalog service actually. Similarly, suppose you try to want to purchase any kind of this product, actually, you go and add to the cart service, right? That is again another service actually. Similarly, you want to afterwards you want to order it actually. You order it actually. Order service. Right? Afterwards, at the finally you do some kind of a payment service. There will be some more other service will also be there. Like for example, you may have something like a provisioning service, right? Because you want to after the payment, right? You need to generate some kind of invoice, right? Invoice, that is the invoice service, and you have some more services like this, like many of the services. So literally the whole e-commerce application, what happened is you are breaking down to smaller microservices actually. Correct guys? Right. Now, the thing is that when you are dividing all this big application into smaller services, maintainability becomes very simple here in this case. Why? Because tomorrow assume that you want to do some changes into the catalog service. You can go and the developer can go and do the changes only into this catalog service. You need not to compile all the other part of their application. You need to only do a build, and you have to only do a build on this only onto this application itself actually, or onto only onto the service itself. So it means that actually, like your as usual, your e-commerce application will not get disturbed. Suppose assume that this e-commerce application, which you are designed as a microservices, and these microservices are running in your server, right? And you know that actually, if any one of the service goes down, actually, or it doesn't really impact the other services will be keep running. Okay. Of course, there's a dependency will be there. Dependency between one server to other services there, right? And they communicate via different protocols. Either they can communicate via the networking protocol like TCP/IP or something, or else if it is communicating with the HTTP or HTTP protocol or through REST API, the communication channel might be different. That is fine. But what I'm saying that there is not really any kind of a dependency between one to other actually. Yes, of course. While the application flow is happening, yes, there is a dependency of that service to be up, because identity service it want to talk to the catalog service. Catalog service want to talk to the card service. Yes, I mean, while communicating, it has to pass the data. But as an individual, what happened that there is no dependence between from one to other. Hence, what happened if the developer want to add any kind of a changes to the application, he can go to the particular service and he can do the changes actually. And after doing the changes and all right, basically what happened, you need not to really go and compile the whole application. You have to just compile, or you have to only build that specific service itself, and you can do the redeployment of that service. Now, one good thing about the microkernel is that, sorry, not microkernel, microservices are that actually that you can easily scale those services like how much are required. It means that you can scale up and scale down easily when it comes to the microservices. Say, for example, you know that during prime time, like or during the offers and all right, when Amazon or Flipkart, when they're really saying that okay, we have some big offer, some big day comes up, right? So during that time, what happened, right? You will see that a lot of people will be logging into this e-commerce application or into the Amazon or into the Flipkart. And like they will be doing so much shopping and all on that day, right? Because there will be a lot of big offers will be there. So during that time, you would see that this catalog service and this card service, like this two part of this, the entire application will be utilized a lot actually. So in that case, what happened, right? On that prime day, what they do, right? Usually, right? This catalog service, they'll have many instances like this. Depend upon the traffic. Similarly, lot of people will be adding a cart and all right. Even this also will be You will have many instances of the same services because lot of customers are accessing it actually. So scaling up is quite easy when it comes to microservices. Okay. Similarly, when the offer goes off, I mean, when on that particular big day, right, you have completed a whole day. Next day, you will see that there will not be that much request. You can go back. You can go back. You can scale out actually. You can scale down. So scale up and scale down is quite easy when it comes to the microservices. That is one advantage. And the second advantage, it's a lightweight actually. And this each and every service, it acts like a single function. It means that it is basically used for to achieve only a particular functionality of your application. As a whole, this service as a whole is not a complete application. It is just one part of the application where it does some kind of a activity. For example, identity service. So identity service basically used for the login purpose. Like for example, whenever user want to log in, he log in with the username and the password, or he log in with the username and the key, or else he will log in with some kind of a certificate, OIDC certificate. So some kind of a mechanism it does it to authenticate or it doesn't to authenticate. So this identity service will take care of all kind of that login process, everything, authentication process. Apart from that, it doesn't do any other thing, right? And one good thing about the microservice is that actually that because guys, this the entire e-commerce application is driven to many different services based on your requirement, right? What we say that actually that you can make use of writing these services in your own language. It means that you can choose any language. Suppose identity services, they choose a Java language to be written. Yes, you can use a Java language like this. You can develop the whole front end, not Java, sorry, JavaScript or React.js, sorry, React.js. You can use a React.js to develop it. Similarly, catalog service can be used to, they use the Java to deploy it. Cart can be used, like cart they use like Go language to do it. It all depend upon the necessity. You can choose a particular language to design this service actually. There's no hard and fast rule that actually it has to be designed by that only single application. Whereas in case of e-commerce application, you know that e-commerce application, it's a single large application. You have to choose only one language. Either you're developing the entire application into the Java means you have to use only Java application only. You cannot use any other application. But here what happens, the flexibility that you can design these services by using any kind of a language. That is a kind of a flexibility your microservice provides. And one golden rule, what they say that in when they are designing the microservice, they say that suppose assume that you are working with the catalog service. Okay, it is written in Java. You found some kind of a issue with this catalog service. You said that okay, I need to redesign this whole catalog service, and I will not choose Java. Instead I'll choose Go language to design it. So what happened that you can replace this catalog service with a completely new service which is written in a Go language, and that you can entirely design all your catalog service everything within a span of one day of your time. If you go to the office and if you're working for 8 or 9 hours or 10 hours, right, in the 10 hours you can design the whole catalog service using the Go language. So that is what the golden thing, what they say, that you can replace each and every service by developing within one day. It means that after developing you need to do a lot of various testing activity. After testing all complete, right, you can go and deploy into a production environment with that new catalog service. It means that within one day you can develop the whole thing in some other different language. Even in today's world, like even DevOps engineers also, even within one day they are writing pipeline. Within one day they are writing a deployment file to deploy it. Within one day they are trying to write multiple Docker files. They write, right. Even within one day, people are writing Terraform models for creating infrastructure, like front-end infrastructure, back-end infrastructure application. Within one day, people are doing nowadays. Even in DevOps also, things have become very faster. Within one day, they are achieving a lot of things actually. Am I clear, sir? So what is an advantage which you are seeing in microservice? One is that you can break down the big application to smaller services. That is one advantage. You can do a scale in and scale out based on the traffic or based on the stress on the service. You can scale up and scale down as per your requirement, which is very simple. Okay, in case of monolithic. And one big advantage is that actually, guys, what happened, right? For example, in case of monolithic, actually, say for example, this is the application which are designed for e-commerce application, and this is Amazon's product. Assume that Amazon is coming one more with one more product. What is that one more product? Prime Video. They come with a Prime Video, and they're designing it. Now for the Prime Video also, it needs an authentication, right? So what they do that already there's an authentication service is already written by for e-commerce supply, which is identity service. So Rajesh, can I use this identity service there for the Prime Video also? Yes, you can use that service there also. It means that when they are designing the Prime Video, you need not to redesign again the identity service. You can use the identity service from the e-commerce or the Amazon shopping cart, right? What are service there? You can make use of for it. So Prime Video, it uses this same identity service for doing the authentication purpose. Similarly, your Amazon might design many other applications which needs an identity service. Actually, the same identity service can be used for the multiple application also. So that is a big advantage that actually you reuse that service as and when required when you are designing new applications actually. Am I clear, sir? Because your Prime Video also needs some kind of a login authentication, right? It need to log in and then like you need to provide some kind of authentication. Once the authentication is done, yeah, now you will be able to access the application. So you need an identity service or the login service actually. So like that. So that can be easily achieved when you are designing the whole application as a microservices. And one more thing is that actually, guys, because this each and every microservice, what happened, right? It generates the data actually. It generates its own data, right? Basically, what happened? This is something called as a stateful. You can call. So each and every services will have its own database actually. It has its own database. Like cart has its own service, auto service has its own database. So each and every service will have its own small instance of the database actually. So it depends upon the application also. Like for example, catalog service, right? It might be showing you so many images, pictures, everything, right? You need a kind of a database where it can keep all those images, everything, right? So there are some databases are there, like a document DB database is there, a couch DB database there. So you need such kind of a database also because it has to keep all kind of similarly when you are trying to put everything in the cart needs a sequence of all the product with all the details, right? You might need a for the first access you might need some kind of a mongodb, right? So this can be easily achieved with the help of a with when you are designing the microservice actually. Am I clear, sir? So this is what the difference you have to tell, like whenever you discuss about the monolithical and microservices. Now one thing is what happened that here, guys, because you are managing so many different services and you want to even scale out and scale in all those, basically what happened, right? You need some kind of an orchestration system to manage all these things actually. You need some kind of an orchestration system because you're dealing with so many services. It's not one or two hundred thousands of microservices you're managing. You need some kind of a orchestration system where you can manage all the services, and that is what happened. The orchestration system which comes into the in today's world is a Kubernetes actually. So in Docker, the orchestration system, what Docker provides is a Docker Swarm. This is an orchestration system or tool where it provides, right? You can use either Docker Swarm, but Docker Swarm has a lot of disadvantage we don't really use now. That's the reason what happened. The Kubernetes came into the market actually. And Kubernetes is the best orchestration mechanism or the tool which is available now. So you can easily manage all these services, everything with the help of a Kubernetes cluster or with the help of a Kubernetes service actually. Am I clear, sir? So orchestration is required. It's a must. It has become a de facto mandatory stuff to be having because you cannot deal all the services by your own. Actually, there has to be some kind of a mechanism who will monitor all these services and everything, who manage all the services, and that is nothing but your orchestration system, which is nothing but Kubernetes. Okay, microservices is a smaller and uh, individually runnable service which can be deployed independently. Am I clear, sir? So what you can do, guys, you can go to your Gemini or whichever AI tool. Right here, what happened that you can go with compare monolithic and monolithic and microservices and give me a table. So you could see that this is the table you got it actually. So this is what you need, guys, actually. And the core difference. See? So yeah, this is the table you needed actually. Am I clear, sir? So go here, can have this table. Oh, sorry. I think can't paste it, right? Yeah, can't paste it. But that table you need it actually. So always you try to keep the table, capture the table, and you can go through it actually. Am I clear, sir? Okay. Now the thing is that one good advantage of your container is that, sorry, microservice is that actually that you can you can build this application as in a single individual microservices and you can run these services under your container actually. So because since this service, whatever you're designing the service, this is the lightweight service you're designing it, and you can easily run this services, everything or this whole set of services into your container actually. It means that whenever you want to deploy this service, whenever you want to make this service to run under the container, you need to make your application as a containerized application. It means that you need to take the service, build as an image, and run that image inside the Docker container. So what we need to learn, right? Because guys, when the developer are developing these services, now being a DevOps engineer, what is your immediate action plan or what you need to do? It means that each and every services you have to make it as a Dockerized or you want to make it as a containerized. So to make it containerized, basically, what is the art you need to learn means you need to learn an art of making it containerized means you want to build this as a image and you need to take that image, build that image, test that image, and then finally you need to run that image inside your container. So what would be our next agenda or the topic is that actually that we need to learn how to containerize, how to containerize the application or how to containerize your application. This is what guys you have to learn, you have to understand. Right? And one more important thing, what are the things which you have to keep in mind when you are containerizing it actually? Basically, you have to keep in mind certain things like you need to understand, you need to have a understanding on on below stuffs. What is it actually? You need to understand. One is that actually you need to understand what kind of a networking you're providing it when you are containerizing that application. Suppose assume that it means that actually like whenever you are containerizing your application, when you're running inside the container, a person who's sitting outside the container, how will be able to access your application? That is not, but you need to provide some kind of a networking stuff. Similarly, when your container or when your application service is running inside a container, it will try to generate the data. Where to store the data? Like when you are making it as a containers, of course, you want to store the data also, right? You need some kind of a storage. Whether you're using any kind of a local storage or any kind of a shared storage you're using or any kind of an external disk where some kind of a mounting happen there where you want to store it, that's all you need to consider whenever you want to store the data. So store the data means basically what happened is your your service or nothing but the application which you are made as a container, right? It will be generating some data that has to be stored in some location. It could be in local storage or it could be in some external storage, right? And the third important thing that actually, like, what are the resources you needed? All other further resources you required for you to make your service to make your service as a container service or to make your service run under the container. So, what are the other resources is required? So all these things you need to keep in mind when you are designing your microservice to be designed and to make it to run under the container actually. And finally, what happened? One more thing is that what are the best practice you're following it? Best practices you're following it for making it as a containerized, right? And one more thing, what happened, right? For example, what is the usage of your orchestration tool actually to deploy the microservices and run them efficiently. This is what the stuff, guys. Whenever you are making your application as a containers application, these are the things which you need to keep in mind when you are designing it. Actually, am I clear, sir? So now, before we get into understanding about how to containerize the application, before we getting to learn about how to containerize the application, let us see the steps to or set up the Docker in the virtual machine in the VM. Actually, let's see that. Right. So for that, guys, I need a AWS account or Azure account anywhere. So today I might create a AWS. I might create it in AWS server or in AWS account. Sorry. Tomorrow I'll be showing in Azure account. So let me. I think I should have joined. I should have logged in. Okay. So I need a multi-factor authentication, right? So hence you need to always enable a multi-factor authentication. Let me check, guys. What is my authentication code? MFA code. Okay. So I'll be in the Mumbai region. So I have to go to the Mumbai region, guys. So you can create anywhere, it doesn't matter, but I'm going to the Mumbai region. I'll go to the EC2 instance. So let me launch a new instance. Okay, I'll keep it as a Docker server or just a Docker. And if you come down, let me choose the Ubuntu. You can go with any version flavor, but I'll go with the Ubuntu OS. You are taking a latest Ubuntu 24.04 LTS. Okay, come down. You can play around with the T2.micro. But tomorrow, what happens when you're building more and more image, you need a lot of storage is required. Actually, for that, you need to increase the storage also. But T2.micro is sufficient for us to practice all our Docker concept actually. So you can go and select the key pair, go to the edit networking. You can go with the default VPC and you can choose anything like APFN South FN 1A. Okay, IP address automation enable. Okay, go to the security group, choose your default security group. Come down here. You can increase this. This is what the storage I want to increase it. Right now, I'm not doing it actually. Later, tomorrow, when I'm trying to build a lot of images, because image occupies a lot of memory actually, a lot of disk space. Like some images might need something like 200, 300 GB, MB. Like that, you create multiple images. It may occupy the whole 8 GB. So make sure that you give up to some 20 or 25 GB later. So I might create one more new server at that time where I'll give larger storage for that because whenever we are practicing image right building right at that time, I need more storage. But for the time being, this is 8 GB sufficient for now, right? So I'll just go and launch it. So guys, here we are setting up the Docker here in this server because we want to install the Docker and you need to you need to run all kind of a Docker related commands, everything in the same server actually. So let it come up. It will come up in next 20. Yeah, it has already come up. So usually it takes around 20 seconds to come up, guys. So we'll wait for it. Yeah, it has come up now. So I'll click on it and I will, you know, the whole process now. I'll try to copy the public IP. Open your terminal, Windows terminal, and I'll go here to my downloads folder, and then I'll just say ss-i my key. Okay, and because the Ubuntu server, you have to log in as Ubuntu at the rate, give the public IP address of your server. Yes, you'll be able to log into the system, right? So once you log in system, you need to do some, you need to install some package. Before that, you need to install it. You need to update the package. Repository, you have to say just say sudo apt update. So guys, whenever you're installing a Docker, basically you can follow the official documentation, right, which the Docker INC provides. Suppose, for example, if you go to the Google and just say installing Docker on Ubuntu, right, you could see that actually you will get an official document that is docs.docker.com. If you go here and if you come over here, can you see there is a Ubuntu is there? If you go under the Ubuntu section here, you can install the Docker under the Ubuntu 22.04, 25. They are given the various different versions of the Ubuntu. And these are the components you have to install, right? Now they have given these steps, guys. You have to follow this step. You know to just copy this step, the whole step, and run it. The installation methods, right? This is the installation method. See, sudo apt update, sudo apt install certificate, sudo apt install. You need to completely copy paste this whole step and then run it, right? And then like you could see that they are giving something like a Docker-C, Docker-C CLI, Docker container.io. So this step they have given it. So basically what I'm trying to tell that while installing it, you need to copy this whole step and install it, and then like you need to copy this whole thing. And then you need to restart the service and then like check the service. So these are the steps they have given it, very simple. Okay, you can follow this step to install it. Okay, or else what happened? The better method is actually that there is one site is there which provides you a script actually, right? That site is get.docker.com. This is a website actually. This is a site actually where what happened, they have given the steps. So if I want to copy it, okay, follow this URL. So this URL, what happened? They have given us some step. What happened, right? They have somebody has written a script actually with the name known as install docker.sh. You need to download that script and then just run that script. That's all. That's what that step will do. That will do the same activity, whatever this is. What are the steps you're seeing here, right? The same thing that script will do it actually. So instead of copy pasting all these things, let me do one thing. Let me try to go and try to download the script with the help of a curl command. Let me copy it, the step, and go and run this step. Execute this command and say ls. Can you see there's something like install docker.sh there? Yeah, it has been downloaded. Now you can just say sudo sh docker.sh. Sorry. So this will try to install all the Docker components, everything. And what it does, this script, this will try to install the latest Docker version which is available. That is one good thing about the script is that this will always try to install the latest version which is available. So you could see that actually, guys, it is installing Docker FNC, Docker CLI, Container IO, Docker Compose, all these different components of the Docker is getting installed. Yeah. So Docker is completely installed now, guys. To check the Docker whether it is installed or not, what you need to do that you need to run a command docker info. When you run a command Docker info, Docker has a two components. One is a client component, other is a server component. Now what happened? Client component is showing you the output, but the server component saying that it's a permission denied. Okay. So for that, what is the simple trick? What you have to do is basically like, because guys, when you are creating a Docker, okay, for example, consider this is a server actually. Let me go here and I think I removed that, right? I'll just say server part. So you have this server. right? What you have did basically, guys, here on top of it, you have installed a Docker now. You've installed a Docker. This is a Docker package you installed it actually. So with the help of that sh hyphen install hyphen docker.sh script, right? That with the help of that script you have run and you have installed the Docker. Now the problem is that actually that this Docker, what has happened, right? This Docker, it by default, it has come with some user known as a Docker user actually. So the user by name Docker is also has come to the picture actually. Yeah. So the username is actually here is a Docker. Since you are working as a Ubuntu user, you could see that Ubuntu is a user. If I say who am I, Ubuntu user, right? Ubuntu user is the one who is executing this command. Ubuntu user doesn't have any permissions to get the Docker server information because he is a other user actually. Either you have to log in as a Docker user and then like you will be able to execute this command, or what you can do that you can have a user. I mean, this is a Ubuntu user. This is a Ubuntu user actually. This is system's Ubuntu user. You want to, what happened that you want to make this user to be a part of the Docker user actually. It means that what are the Docker group is there, right? You want to add this Ubuntu user into the Docker group actually. So for that, so when you do that, then what happens? This Ubuntu user will get a full access to run any kind of a Docker command. So unless and until you don't make the Ubuntu user as a part of the no, Docker group account, you cannot run all the commands actually. So hence what happened that there is a small command you need to run as a sudo user mod command hyphen a capital G,
Small.
okay, yeah, Docker and then say Ubuntu. So you have to just execute this command one time. That's all. You need to execute again. Okay. And now what you have to do that you have to just exit out once and re-log in again. Okay. And then now you see that you can run a Docker info command. Now it will even show you the server side also. What are the server side are there, right? Even it will show even that also. Now your Docker is completely getting executed successfully. It means that now you can play around with the Docker actually. You can run any command being a Ubuntu user, also you can run that command. If you switch to the root user and you can run it, then you don't need all these things. But assume that we don't know which user who has logged in, right? It could be Rajesh, it could be Ubuntu, it could be Mahesh, anyone, right? He want to run comfortably all the commands of Docker, then you have to make that user as a part of the Docker group. Only then only what happened, right? You will be able to run all the commands which Docker provides actually. Am I clear on this, sir? Till here, are you okay, guys? So this command you should not forget. I mean, whenever you are installing the Docker, you need to execute, after installing Docker, you have to immediately execute this command, user mod command. User mod, small a, capital G, Docker, and say Ubuntu. Okay? Okay, good. Setup, right. One second. Let me write the notes immediately. Okay? And after SSH, you run, what is that curl command you run, right? So you run this curl command. So hope you're understanding, guys, what I'm typing, right? Correct? Re-log in and execute. What is that command? Docker info command. And make sure that Docker info is successfully getting executed. Okay, guys. Fine. Good. Now, okay. Now my requirement is that, okay. Now my requirement is that I want to run some simple website. So now my requirement is that I want to run some simple website actually. Let us see how you can run some simple website in your server. Suppose for example, I have one server, like consider that I'm having a Ubuntu server and I want to run some kind of a website in my Ubuntu server, right? So how we are going to do that, right? So basically what happened that you need to find out like how to deploy to the server, right? Find out how to deploy their website, okay, into the server actually. So how to deploy is basically, guys, you need to have some kind of web server, right? So we need a web server. We need a web server to deploy. Okay. For a web server, basically we have two popular web servers are there. Two popular web server. What is the two popular web server? One is an Apache and other is a Nginx. Right? These are two popular websites are there. Yeah, apart from these two, there are many other websites are there. But I'm just saying that there are two popular websites are there. One is nothing but your Nginx and other is an Apache actually. Right? And if you see the market share, right, Nginx is having more market share, like more than 40% of the companies are using Nginx in today's time, and Apache, I think some 22 or 24 something. Even I don't remember. If you go to the chat GPT or anywhere, and if you try to search for that, what are the most widely used web servers? Give me information in percentages wise. So it see that, yeah, you're having this. See, Nginx is the most popular and almost, as I said, right, 38 to 38% are widely used. Apache HTTP 24 to 25%. Cloudflare servers are used. Lightspeed is used. Microsoft IaaS between 3 point. Whoever are deploying the .NET based application, right? They need a Microsoft IaaS service, which is nothing but which is a web service actually. 3.8 to 10 percentage, and other smaller servers are there, which is 2. So this is the table kind of a thing, guys, right? So the most popular is Nginx, right? So most of traffic flow fall around they use Nginx as a web server actually. So now my requirement is that, Rajesh, I need to have a Ubuntu Linux or whichever Linux where I have to go and install the Linux. Sorry, where I have to go and install the Nginx actually. So, guys, can I use this server for doing it? Whatever we are having, this server I meant for Docker. Can I go and play around with this? Yeah, you can go and play around with this also. Yeah, no doubt. But let me have some other server because I don't want to really disturb this server. Because this server has the Docker installed. I need for the future purpose also. I'll try to immediately launch one more server, which I'll call it as something like an experimental server actually, or something like a web server, anything. Nginx web server, something. Okay, because I need it, I just want to show you that how you can able to deploy or host your website under the Nginx. That's what I'm having is Nginx server. Okay, go and quickly launch the machine actually. Okay, this has come up. Let me log into the server, copy the public IP, go here. I'll try to go with the other terminal, cd to the download, ssh-i, my key, ubuntu @ give the public IP of this Nginx web server, right? So the first command, what you will do it, sudo apt update. This is the first command you run it actually, because you want to update the package. After that, you need to install this Nginx, right? So we need to follow, you need to install Nginx because we'll use Nginx as a web server where we'll be deploying our website actually. Okay. Where is it actually? Yeah. So for installing the Nginx, guys, you have to follow installing with the help of a sudo apt install and specify the package name nginx -y. This is the command you have to use it for installing Nginx. Okay, Nginx is installed. After Nginx is installed, okay, basically what you have to do that you need to check whether the Nginx is installed or not. What you do, you'll go to this server, you try to copy this public IP. Okay, come over here in the browser and they'll just say HTTP colon double slash give the public IP colon 80. If you're not using colon 80 also, still by default it uses the port number 80 only. Just I'll try to give the colon 80 and just say enter. Now you could see that the default Nginx web page is getting opened actually. It means that your Nginx is working fine. Am I clear, sir? So here what happened, right? You need to understand, okay, your Nginx is working now. Now, what I have to do basically, like I have to go to the Google and just try to search for something as a sample website uh, templates. Okay, there was some free template websites was there actually. Where is that free CSS templates download? Yeah, correct. I remember that free hyphen site has gone down. It went for maintenance. I'll follow this only. Template. Oh, this is the URL. I'll follow this only to download some sample websites. Come down here. You can go with anything actually here. Okay. You can go with any website. Like I can go with the Z shop, right? I can go with this website. Okay, Z shopping website. Okay, if you come down, there you'll get something like a download link actually. Yes, this is the download link actually. Guys, basically what I have to do that you need to download it. So I can do a right click, copy the link address, come here, and then like what you need to do basically like you need to do a wget and give this entire link actually and say enter. So basically what you're doing that you're trying to download the whole shopping that the Z shop, the whole zip you have downloaded. Am I clear, sir? So this is a zip file. If you try to do a file of template, whatever, it shows that it is a zip archive actually. It's a zip archive. And what happened, right? Basically, guys, you need to extract that and you need to place it. So hit, when you're trying to access your application with help of giving the public IP with the colon 80, right? You're able to see this default web page, right? Nginx web page. You might ask the question where the Nginx web page is hosted or which is the default path. So here what happened if you go to this path, something like /var www html, enter and say ls. Can you see here? There's a file named index.nginx.depend.html. This is a file, guys, with which you are able to see this default web content actually. Am I clear, sir? If you try to open that file, you will see this is a content actually. You could see that welcome to Nginx. Can you able to see here? Same thing here. Welcome to Nginx. Right. Suppose assume that you remove all this content. Right. You just add some your own content. Save this file. Oh, sorry. I think you opened. You have to use sudo vi index. See here, I shared it file. If we go and refresh that page, right? Now you could see that you are seeing this content. Now, what is my requirement is that guys, whatever the website which I downloaded here, this is a template or this is a website, I need to basically extract it and I have to keep under the slash or w to HTML, right? So for that, what happened that you need to do an unzip on that. So I think unzip is not there. You have to install that sudo app install unzip package unzip hyphen y. So once you install the unzip, right, you can just run a command unzip command and specify the template file. Uh, yeah, unzip is there. Unzip space temp letter. Why it is not showing? Okay, it is not considering. Oh, okay. Okay, it is downloading it. Yeah, this is a zip file. But why it is not downloading here? Copy the link address, come over here. And let me remove this template one time. Sudo duplicate and give this. Okay, it is downloading it, but it is not in that zip format actually. See here. Okay, later I can move it. I can rename it as a zip format, but okay. Okay, let's wait. Okay, it's downloaded. If I do an ls, or it's still showing as the same thing. Let me do one thing. Let me move that file as the dot zip. Let me add this extension so that I have a zip file. Right now, what I will do, I'll just say sudo unzip. uh, I'll just say unzip template of file. Yeah, now you could see that you extracted it now. Right now, if you extracted it, you found this folder template 559 ZR shop and say ls, you could see that this is the file content which is having it actually. So now what I will do, I'll just say sudo, I'll just say cp command with hyphen r recursive, copy all the content to where you have to copy under slash var www html. So you copied the whole content of your whole content to this path actually. Now if you go back here and now if you go and try to refresh this, can you see here you got this shopping page, right? Like this Z e-commerce shopping page. So you can go and click on it home. It'll take you to the home page. It'll go to the about. It'll go to the about page. It'll go to the shop. It'll take you to the shopping page. If you go to the contact, so you're able to access your application, right? The complete application, right? So what you did, guys, basically you try to download some sample web templates, right? CSS template, and then like you install the Nginx, and under the Nginx, you went to this path slash or www.html. And here what happened, basically what happened, you try to place all your website templates, everything under this path. And whenever Nginx is running, Nginx always refer to this path and try to load all the web pages which there in the HTML folder. So whatever in the HTML folder is there, right, it will try to refer to this index.html file and it calls that, and this index.html file is not what, this is what it is showing you, right? This is the index.html. Can you see index.html file? Am I clear on this, sir? Till here, are you okay? Guys, any doubts you have? So what I did basically in one of the virtual machine, which I called it as something engineering server, I went and I installed some kind of a website. I hosted a website. Okay, how you can host it means you need to have some web server. So I choose Nginx as a web server. Inside the Nginx, after installing it, you went to the path slash var www.html. Under that, you pasted all your website template and you are able to see that you are able to access your application by just hitting this public IP address with the colon port number 80. Because we know that all your websites, everything, right? It uses the port number 82, 80. So you can access that application by just clicking the public IP with the colon 80 port number. You will be able to access your web application. Am I clear, sir? So now, if you want to really understand all the things, right? If you execute the history command, these are all the steps what you followed actually, right? So if you want to copy it, you can copy this whole stuff actually, and then you can just paste it here. Manual step, manual steps. Right? Before that, what you did basically guys, you uninstall, right? Install unzip, even you install the Nginx also. So all the steps you have installed it actually. That's what I mean. All the steps are available in here actually. And how you are able to access it? Access your server by IP. What is it actually? HTTP colon give the public IP colon port number 80 actually. Through this, you are able to access your application. Now, now the question comes that Rajesh, I want to access or I want to run the same application inside my container. Whatever you are having this Z template 559, right? This application, whatever you are having, right? I want to run the same thing in the container now, inside the container, right? So it means that I want to, sorry, yeah, it means that my next requirement is actually that I need to how to, or else I can just say, yeah, how to containerizing the same application into the Docker actually, into the Docker container. How you can make it, how you can make your website to run the same website to run under your Docker container, inside a Docker container. So basically, guys, for doing that, there are two ways are there. There are two steps are there. Okay. One is that, what does that happen that? One is that, what is it? Creating a container and manually deploying the application. Okay. So this is how it means that first you have to create a container and then like you have to go and install manually. It means that what are the steps you are following here to do it right? Do a wget, everything. Same thing inside the container you have to do it. But this is not a correct way, right? This is not recommended actually. We say it is not recommended. This is not a recommendable approach, right? Then what is the second step actually? The second step is that whenever you want to achieve the same thing, you need to write the Docker file actually. So this is what we actually follow in a real time. Whenever you want to do any kind of a stuff like that, for that we write a Docker file and we try to create an image with the help of the Docker file, and then like we run that image, a newly created image into the Docker container. This is how we follow. This is the recommended or this is a best practice. Whenever you want to do any achieve anything right, you need to write a Docker file. So in all our upcoming session, guys, we will be learning about how to write this Docker file actually. Am I clear, sir? Right? So now what happened that now let us do one thing. Let us try to choose the first option initially now to understand how to deploy the same website by inside the Docker container. So the first option, let us try to evaluate the first option, how to do it actually. Then obviously the second step, which is writing, but writing a Docker file, we have to learn it. Okay, so what you have to do means you have to just say that first step is that you have to create the image manually. That's the first step actually. Second step is actually that what happened? The second step, we'll write down here. First is create the image manually. Second is that you need to create a container. So guys, I hope that you're in sync with me, because I know that I'm myself doing it, but I hope that
Yes,
you're
yes.
careful, listening, and also you have to do the same thing. Create a container in a interactive mode and run what is it? Necessary commands, necessary commands to deploy your application or your website, whatever. Clear, sir? Right? Okay, good. Now, what you will do, guys, basically, you'll do one thing. You will go to that server where you're having a Docker installed. This is what my Docker is installed, right? This is my Docker installed. Now, what I will do that, anyhow, I think I have already logged into this, or else I might have lost the connection. No problem. I will try to log in again. Now, guys, because we choose the Ubuntu Linux, right, and you try to do all the things, will I get any kind of an image where, like I will get a Ubuntu image based on that, like Ubuntu image, I can use that Ubuntu image to run the same thing inside the Docker container. Yes, I can do that. For that, what I have to do that, first you need to go to the hub.docker.com. So this is nothing but your Docker registry, right, where all the images are placed. So hub.docker.com. And also, guys, as I said, right, you please have your own account created. So I'm logging into my Docker Hub. Now, if I after login Docker Hub, guys, now what I will do that I need to search for something known as a Ubuntu. So if you go to the search here, if you click on it here, okay, you'll see something like a official Docker official image. Click on this official Docker image, right, and go here and just say see all results. You will see that you will get so many images actually. If you scroll down, do you see somewhere is a Ubuntu image? Yeah, Ubuntu image is there. Yeah, click on this Ubuntu image. And if you come down, see in our requirement, what we choose, guys, we choose a Ubuntu 24.04, right? Correct. You remember when I'm trying to launch this machine, I use a 24.04. Okay. So will I am getting the same tag with that Ubuntu image itself? Yeah, 22.04. Yeah, this is what it is. Click on this. Yeah, I mean, this is what you need actually. Okay. Ubuntu 24.04. For you to have it, you have to use a Docker pull Ubuntu 24.04, like that. You need to pull that with the tag actually. It means that whenever you are trying to do right, you need to run it. So now when I'm trying to run the Docker image, I have to give this tag actually, because I need to use a Ubuntu 24.04 image actually, right? So now let me come here into my Ubuntu server where Docker is installed. Now this is considered as a Docker server actually. I need to create a image, or I need to run an image where it has that it has that Ubuntu as a image which is running inside my Docker container. That is my first point. So for that, what I will do that, I'll just say Docker container run -fn name, something like I will give something like some name, I'll give something like for image, something I'll give, you can give anything. For example, my OS or my Ubuntu, anything can give. I mean, it doesn't matter. This name can be given anything, right? Then I'll just say uh, -p port number. Like, don't worry about this as of now. Just see what I'm doing, right? And I'll just say -it interactive, and I'll give the image name is Ubuntu. But okay, and I'll give 24.04. This is a tag I'm giving it. So I'm running an image container which has this Ubuntu as a uh, as a as OS running inside the container actually, right? So Docker container run hyphen fn name, that is my Ubuntu hyphen p port, okay, 80 colon 80. What is this hyphen p option? I will tell you later. Hyphen item is interactive and giving the complete image with the tag to Ubuntu colon 24.04, right? This is correct exactly. Just run it. Now I could see that locally it doesn't find it, and now it will try to download from your registry actually, and it has downloaded. The download is completed. Okay, now you could see that actually, guys, as soon as you run it, you are making it to get inside interactive mode. That's what you got the shell actually. So you are inside your Docker container now. So now what I'll do, I'll just run a apt update command. So let's see whether apt update is working. Yes, it is working. So now you say that Rajesh, I want to install Nginx. Yes, that is also correct. You have to just say apt install Nginx hyphen y. So you are doing everything manually inside a container now. It's as if like you, whatever you did in your normal virtual machine, right? The same thing you did it over here also, right? We know that we have to even install the unzip also. Let me install the apt install. You need not to add sudo, guys, because you are logged in as a root user. There is no need to add a sudo. So that's what I'm not adding any sudo. Sudo install app, sorry, app install, what is it? Unzip hyphen y. Because I know that even I need this package also, right? And what I'll do here, I'll come over here. I know that what is a free website. This is a free website, right? Where is it actually? Close this, close this, close this, close this. Yeah, free template. Oh, yeah, this is what it is. So I'll go here, I'll do a right click, I'll copy the link address, come over here, do a wget and give this complete path. Let me do a thing and run it. Wget is not there. App install wget hyphen y. So now run the above command again. Now you're able to download that website, right? And say ls, this template of file is there. Move this template of file, rename this as a .zip file. Okay. Am I clear, sir? After that, what you have to do that, because you installed the Nginx, basically you have to first use unzip templato. You have to unzip it. Once you unzip it, you get the templato folder, whatever the template folder. Here you need to copy the whole content. cp-r star means everything. Where you need to copy /var www html. So copied everything. If you go to /var www html and say ls, can you see that you have copied all the things? Am I clear, sir? Now what you do basically, like if you come over here and if you go to your Docker server, so Docker server has this IP address, right? It has IP address, public IP. You have to take this public IP, go over here, do HTTP colon double slash, give it, give the port number 80 and say enter. Okay, why it is not running? I think you have to start the Docker service. Yeah, service, not sorry, service, not Docker service. What is it? Uh, Service Nginx, right? Nginx start. You have to start that Nginx service. Yeah. Now, if you go and try to refresh this, now you'll see that the same application you are running inside the Docker container. Right. So how I access, guys, because I went to the Docker server where the Docker is running, I mean, where the Docker is installed, and I'm choosing this public IP and I'm hitting to the port number 80. So I'm accessing a port number 80. Usually what happened, there is some kind of a port forward is happening. So port forwarding is happening. That's the reason if you remember that I use this command while creating the container, right? What I did, I use a hyphen p option. So that does the port forwarding actually, hyphen p option. So whenever you are hitting your local system where you are running the Docker, right? Where you, if you're trying to hit to the port number 80, it try to forward that request to your container which is hosted on the port number 80. So onto the port number 80, where upon Nginx is running in that Ubuntu image actually. So hence what happened, you are able to access that application sitting outside. Am I clear, sir? Now if you come over here, And if you exit out from this, you could see that you can exit out from this exit exit. And if I try to do a docker ps-a command, you could see that your Ubuntu is still up and running. Not sorry, it has exited out, right? Sorry, it has exited out, right? Okay, fine. Now you say that Rajesh, I want to remove that. Actually, you have to remove this thing. Actually, no problem. You can just say docker rm and specify the name that is my Ubuntu. You have removed the completely. If you try to do a docker ps-a, you could see that nothing is there. So don't worry about this command, guys. I'm going to start very soon the commands and all. But right now, what we are doing to do that, I'm just trying to list all the containers which are running, which are in running or exit state by executing the docker ps-a. This is a command I choose to display all the containers which are running or which are stopped or which are killed or exited, whatever state might be. You want to display means you have to run this command. After that, what I'm doing that, it showed me that this is the image recently which you run, right? It has got exited because right now you just stopped it now. I mean, it means you exited out from that image, right? Or you exited out from that container, right? Hence, it got stopped actually. So as soon as it got stopped, it got exited actually. So Docker PSFN, it is showing you even all these containers which are in exited state also. After that, I'm running this Docker RM command to remove this from the list itself actually. Now, the thing is that, guys, actually, this is okay, but this is not a good practice, as I said, right? Because you are taking the whole Ubuntu image. So Ubuntu image is a very big, a large image. Suppose if I try to do a Docker image, ls, can you see here, recently you just download the Ubuntu image, right? 24.04 we are running, right? And you could see that it is consuming 119 MB. It's such a bulk, big image where you're using it. So instead of running the way it is running like this, why you are choosing the Ubuntu image and making to install all the package manually, everything, installing Nginx and try to install the wget command, installing unzip and even downloading the template and extracting and you are doing everything manually, right? That is one thing. Secondly, important is that you are using the Ubuntu as a base image only because Ubuntu is a very big image. It's an OS image. Like the way how you installed the here in your normal
Rajesh,
machine, right? Yes, sir.
by writing the images manually, the size of the image should be increased, right? It's not best practice.
Correct. That is what I'm telling, sir. This is not the
Uh,
best practice, I'm saying.
yes,
Because
yes.
whatever you did here in your normal virtual machine, the same thing you're doing with the container also, right? Then what is the use of doing the same? What is the difference then? There's no difference. Because even
Yes,
your
yes.
container is also like a big container which is running it. Same thing like as if you are running in your virtual machine only.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now what has happened, right? Because what is the reason behind that? Because you took a Ubuntu as a base image. Ubuntu itself is a very big image. And after running your Ubuntu image, what you did, you get inside the Ubuntu image or Ubuntu container, and then you try to install all the package what is required. You also try to download your template and run it. You did all the activities so that you are able to host your web page. Because you install Nginx and then you hosted everything and then you try to access the application outside by just hitting the IP address with the port number 80. Yeah, you did all those things. Now the point is that actually, sir, why we have to use such big image? Can we see any kind of a lighter image which already exists? Uh, if you go to your Docker, this one what I call hub.docker.com or but your registry, go and search for your Docker official image and search for something here. Can we see somewhere on the Nginx image? See. So Rajesh, can I use this Nginx image to host my Nginx? Because all these days you use Ubuntu because Ubuntu is a bulk image, big image, which you're using. And you have to install it. But I got some more image which is something like Nginx image. It means that I need not to really worry about the operating system now. I need to have an image where already Nginx is installed. Yes, there's an image where the Nginx is already installed. So I will get this. This is the official image which I have to follow or I have to use it. Correct, sir? If you try to click on this,
Yes, Rajesh.
Nginx, right? Nginx, can you see? Sorry, can you see somewhere 1.27? It's not there. It is not showing here, but doesn't mean that doesn't have. You have Nginx 1.27 also. So can I use that 1.27 for running the same application? Yes, sir. You can use the same application. So come over here. I'll just say Docker run -fn name. Something I'll give something like for image. I'll give some name for image -p port number 8080. That we call the port forwarding, and I'll use this Nginx image. And what is the image tag I'll give? What is it? 1.27. Am I clear, sir? So you can run Docker run, or else you can even run Docker container. Docker container run is the best practice to use it. Always use a Docker container run actually. -fn name for image -p 80:80 Nginx 1.27. Yes, sir. Enter. Yeah, it is running, guys, but I think I should have used the detach mode, because if we don't use the detach mode, right, it'll consume your terminal actually. So you could see that Nginx is running. I'll just say Control C, I will kill it. If I try to do a Docker ps-a, so it is running. Yeah, let me first stop it, Docker stop, and specify the name of it for image, and Docker RM, and specify the. So now if you try to do a Docker ps-a, now nothing is there. Now I try to run the same thing, this one. Now what I will do that, I will try to use a -d option. Detach it actually. You need not to really use your entire terminal. That's what you have to detach it. Once you detach it, now what happened? Your Docker container is running, but it is running in the backend actually. So if I try to do a Docker PS, now you could see that your Nginx image is running actually, or your web service is running actually, right? So how do you access it? Same thing. You have to go to your copy the public IP, go and hit to the IP address, HTTP, or I'll just say :80 and say hit it. Now you could see that your Nginx is loaded. It means that the default Nginx page, what this image has, right, that you're able to access it actually. Am I clear, sir? Right? Now the thing is that now I want to check, Rajesh, this Nginx, right? This Nginx which is running, does it has that /var www.html folder? Because from where exactly it is taking that in image file or the index file actually. Yeah. For that, what you do that you do a docker exec. We can use a docker exec command. What is the name of your container? It is for image, right? That is the name, right? For image, and I'll just say ls/var www and say enter. See, there is no /www. Okay, let me do one thing. Let me do a /var. So, are you able to see any of www? No, it is not there. Okay. But where exactly you will find, then where exactly it is loading the default page. So in this case, guys, it is actually trying to load from the /usr share nginx actually. So if you go to this path, so if I go to the Docker, use the same command docker exec, and instead of this, what I'll do that I'll just say usr share, what is it, nginx, and then I'll say HTML. Yeah, this is the place where your default pages. See, can you see here? This is the path actually. So Nginx actually, it is referring to this path actually. /usr share Nginx HTML. From there, it is picking this index.html file, and this is what it is getting displayed here. Okay, in case of an Nginx image which you're running, right? This is the path which it is using. Did you understood, guys, whatever I said? So now you will say that, Rajesh, now what are the template which you downloaded? You have to extract it here and you have to keep all these things here. Yes, sir. You have to keep under this path now. Okay, can I log in? Can I get inside the Nginx image which is running, or inside this container which is running? Yes, you can run it. So you can just say docker exec -it interactive terminal, and give the image name for image space /bin/bash -fn/bin/bash. This is how you log in into it actually. You log in inside the container. Why, man, what happened? Yeah, you got inside this /bin/bash. So now what happened that you are inside this Nginx container. Now just try to run a sudo apt update. Is it working? Yeah, it's working now. So Rajesh, should I install the unzip package? Yes, sir. You can even install the unzip package also. Yeah, it is installed it. So now what happened, right? You can even do a what is it actually, guys? You can even try to do a wget command. Let's say wget is there or not. It's not there, sudo, or else just say app install wget. Same thing, whatever. Now this time what I are doing, you are running everything through inside the Nginx image only, right? So wget installed. So I'll just say wget, give the same thing, go to here, download here, copy link, come over here. Okay. So now what you will do that, you will try to move the template to as a template.zip, move the template.zip under the temp folder. So under the temp folder, you extract it. You will just say unzip template zip file. You extracted it. Here what happened? You got this folder. Yeah. From here what happened? You copy all the things. cpfnr star slash usr share. Correct, guys? Where you have to copy it? You have to say slash usr share Nginx and HTML. Here you are copying the whole stuff actually. Right? Once you're copying it, go to the slash usr share Nginx HTML, enter and say ls. See, you're able to see all the files. Now, if you go over here and if you try to copy the public IP address of the Docker server, go over here and hit with the port number 80. Now you could be able to see that. Uh, yeah, now you're able to see that. See your application, that Zap Zay comes, it is loading actually. Am I clear, sir? It means that now you are running it, but we are running the same application with a lighter image actually, which is another Nginx image itself. Now my question comes to you guys. Guys, I took long time today. Let me please take another 10-15 minutes more so that I'll complete this topic. Okay. Now my main intention is that, guys, now the thing is that I might, if you come out from this, if we exit out from it, okay, or else, yeah, if you exit out from it, I think I will be losing everything, guys, right? I'll be losing everything. Right. No, no, I think I'll not be losing anything because it's running, right? I'll exit out from it. Now, if I try to do a Docker PS, you could see that Nginx is still up and running, actually, right? Nginx is still up and running. Now, my question to all of you is that actually that, Rajesh, I want to run the same image, Nginx image, with the same application. I want to run one more instance of the same inside the same Docker. It means that right now only one instance is running. I want like more than 2, 3, 4 instances of the same of the same Nginx with the same application hosted. I want to have same number of instances running actually. How do you do that? So now the question might come, Rajesh, what are the image which is running along with that application? Can I create an image out of it? Running containers, can I create an image out of it? It means that the container is already running, right? As per the diagram here. Now what happened? Inside a Docker, now what happened? Your Nginx container is running. This is your Nginx container running. Now my question is that out of this running container, Rajesh, there is a way, is there is any way where I can create an image actually? I can create an image. A running container, can I create an image out of the running container? Is it a possibility? Because I need to create an image where that image also has that application within it. Because I want to run the same application, n number of instances under the same Docker. So I need to create an image out of it actually. So for that, is there any mechanism? Yes, sir. So if you try to do a Docker container -fn help and say enter. So guys, can you see something like commit here? Create a new image from the container changes or running container. See, this option is available. Okay, it means that I can create an image of running container where that running container but the Nginx image, and in that inside the Nginx image, you are hosted some application. That's some Zay e-commerce application you're running. So you are trying to create the whole image actually. Yeah. Now I got it. So Rajesh, I have to do the Docker container. What is that? Commit hyphen help. Let me check what is the option it is showing you. Yeah, it is showing you some option. You have to give the repository name, tag name, something like that. It is showing you. You can even give a hyphen A option, hyphen C, hyphen M, and hyphen message option. Okay, guys, I got it. Let me check like, okay, what is it? So I have to give the image name also. So the container name also, I'll just say Docker container commit. What is the container which I'm running, right? For image. That is the container name, right? So if you execute Docker ps-a, this is a container name which is running. Or this is a container ID. You can give either container ID or container name. So now what I'll do, I'll just say Docker container commit. What is the image? For image. Okay. What is that you are building? Because guys, this is nothing but the Zay, right? Zay application, right? Something Zay. So what I'll do, I'll just say Zay colon. I'll give something like a tag like a latest actually. And I'll say enter. So you could see that guys, now you are creating an image actually. So if I try to do a Docker image ls, can you see the image you created Zay latest, right? Earlier what happened, you use Nginx, which was 75 MB, but you installed some package and all, right? Zay package and all, you installed it, right? Right now what happened, out of this running container I created one more new image as a Zay image actually, which is now, which is the 340 MB actually, right? 340 MB, but I can run n number of instances of the same application by using the Zay application, correct? So now if I try to do a Docker ps-a, this is running. Now let me remove this, Rajesh. I don't want this. So what I do, I'll just say Docker rm-f and I'll just say for image and say enter. You removed it. Again, you do a Docker PSFNE. So nothing is there now. Now you will say that Rajesh, whatever the image which is there, right? With this image, Docker image ls, I want to run the same application using this image. Yes, you can run is the image. So what you do, Docker run, Docker container run, hyphen D, hyphen FN name. I'll just say Z1, okay, hyphen capital P, port mapping. Don't worry now. What is the image name? I'll just say Z colon latest. See, you are running a container now. Now, when you try to do a Docker -a, you could see that it is running that J image, which has that Nginx along with that application. Now you could see that because I use the hyphen capital P, it is using the port mapping actually. So some kind of a ephemeral port is assigned to you, no problem. Now let me run one more instance of the same. This I will give the name as Z2. See, Z3. So you can run as many as instances what you want, guys. See, now when I try to do a Docker ps-a, can you see here? There are 6 instances of the same Zay app running, which has a Nginx plus along with that application. Now, can you see it very carefully? 3277, 32768, 32769, 32770, 32771, 32772, and 32773. So how to access the application, Rajesh? So let me close all these things. I don't want it. All these things now. So now what I will do, Rajesh, I will try to copy the public IP of this where Docker is running, give the public IP and give the port number. What is that? 32768. 32768. Run this. So you could see that you are running this. In the other instance, in the other this one, I'll try to give the port number 32769. See, 32769 and 32770. 32770. See, 32771. See, 3272. See, 3272. And finally, 3273. See, guys, you are able to run the same application, but you are running in multiple different instances. And you could see that for each and every you want to access means they are given a separate ephemeral port actually. Am I clear, sir? In this way, what happened? You are able to scale your application. Like you can run the same application n number of times, the same instances in the same Docker container. Is it fine, sir? Did you understand the whole context? So today you saw some commands. Don't worry, something commit you saw. Okay, you are not aware of what is commit. Yeah, you saw that one. No problem. But what I'm trying to tell that you can able to run the same application instance n number of time in the container, inside the container or inside your Docker actually. So if you try to go here and if you try to run a command, something like a Docker stats actually. See guys, you'll be able to see that how much is a consumption where each and every container is doing. Can you see here? Because my server, this server is 1 GB of RAM memory, 1 GB of your 1 GB of RAM memory, one core CPU. So out of 1 GB, that is nothing but this container is using 2.4 MB, almost 2.4 or 2.5 MB. Same thing, another J6 is using 2.5 MB, J5 is using 2.5 MB. You could see that all instance almost they're using a very little memory. With that very little memory, it is running this application. Now, since it is running, it is only consuming 2.4 out of 957. Think about how many instances you can create it. You can create some 20, 30, or 50 instances you can create happily the same application. It can run inside the Docker actually. Am I clear, sir? So, till the capacity of your server, what is the memory and whatever the CPU is available, right? Till that capacity, you can able to create the container actually. Or you can run the same instance of that application. Am I clear, sir? So guys, I hope that today you understood something. You understood about like how to manually create a install if you want to host any application, right? Particular website into your normal into your Ubuntu or any operating system. How to do it? You have to have a web server. You need to have it, and then you have to do it. You have to go and install it, and then you have to check it, verify whether the your website is hosted or not. After that, what we did, right? We try to install the Docker, and after on top of the Docker, you try to run the same similar website hosting website application we did it right. The same practicals you have to do it now so that you'll get the complete understanding. Am I clear, sir? Is it fine, guys? So we'll stop it today at this point, and the next session what we're going to do that we will continue with the commands actually. Next session would be next two sessions will be on or will be only Docker commands. Because Docker commands are important. We need to learn about all the Docker commands. All Docker commands instance what? See here, if you try to do a Docker container -fn help, these are all the Docker commands we will be learning. Prune, pause, port, logs, kill, inspect, export, exec, diff, create, cp. All these options we want to learn it. Because we need to understand how this command works actually. Am I clear, sir? With this, we are going to stop. Next two session will be only practical, no theory. Only practical because we'll be running only the commands. And we'll be seeing it how this commands works actually. I mean, commands means command options, how these options works actually. Am I clear, sir? So with this, we are going to stop it today's session. Guys, do you have any doubts before I stop the recording?
Yeah, Rajesh.
Yes, Karthik.
In one instance, we have to create the Docker. On
Hmm.
top of Docker, we have creating images.
Right. You are running a container in this because this server is meant only for running a container. Why I choose this? Because that this is a plain VM virtual machine where I installed the Nginx and installed all package. I mean, install the Nginx and later I download the template. Right. I run it and just want to show it. I can do the same thing here also, but I don't want to really disturb this server. Right. This server, Docker server, where only Docker is installed. And using the Docker, I'm creating a container. Inside the container, I'm running that same template website image. Karthik, is it fine?
Yes, 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 fine.
Any doubts you have,
But
Karthik?
yeah, that utilization it's showing like that CPU memory
Hmm.
on top of a container. It will show this your last stats.
Yeah, this is the stats. Yeah. This Docker stats will give you the statistical information about how much is the CPU consumption and how much is the memory consumption.
Okay.
Okay. These are we call this as the limits actually. See here, when you are creating a container, like how I create a container, I just run a command docker container run hyphen d hyphen hyphen name, something like that I gave. So Rajesh, while running a container, can I even set up like how much CPU it has to use, how much memory it has to be given? You can even give the option also hyphen hyphen CPU, hyphen hyphen memory, like that you can give it. You can set the limits also. That I'm not doing as of now. We will do it later, all those things. So you can set the resource limits for each and every container when you are running it actually. Right?
Okay.
As of now, I'm not doing, but later, yeah, definitely I'll do it because you want to constrain your content to run only under that memory and under that no under that provided CPU only. That's all. If it consumes more than that, or if it needs more than that, what happened? Your Docker container will stop running. Right? Assume that your container which is running, Docker container which is running, it needs more and more memory. Assume that it needs more and more memory to run. But you have already specified some memory, right? You have specified some limits for that, right? When you specify that limit, if your application which is running in the container, if it keeps requesting more and more image, more and more memory, then what happen? Obviously, at certain point of time, what happen? Your Docker container will stop working. So why we are doing all these things? Because you want to see the behavior of that application which is running inside a container. If it is exceedingly asking more memory, more CPU, then oh, okay, it is not a best design application. So a developer has to work around and make sure that that application runs under that specific CPU and the specific memory only it can run it. So those things and all we'll see it later, like why they do all such things, why you have to set the hard limit and a soft limit for the memory utilization or the CPU utilization. We'll see all those things in our upcoming session. Correct, guys?
Okay. Yeah, yeah, thanks.
Sure. Thank you then. We'll stop it today evening, guys. I will let you know because what happened, right? I have to, I think for the other institute which I told, right, I have to start Terraform today. So there would be a Terraform kind of the intro to the Terraform. The first demo will be there. It will be from 6 to 7. It's not yet confirmed, but in case if it has actually, if I have to take it, then I think probably today evening I will cancel the session today evening, AWS. Tomorrow, what we'll do, tomorrow Sunday, morning I will have a Docker session again. And evening we will have or else tomorrow morning, if you want, I'll have a AWS session tomorrow morning. And tomorrow evening we'll have a Docker session. Am I clear, sir? So if I'm not taking today, suppose that if I'm not taking the Terraform demo class, definitely we'll have a AWS session today evening. Okay. Suppose in case if I'm having a demo session, then I think I will not be able to take it up. Okay, but if the batch starts, guys, the Terraform batch starts, what I will do that I will anyhow I will take the normal classes every day at 7 o'clock only, 7 p.m. IST. But this Terraform will be between 6 to 7 every day. From Monday to Friday, I'll be taking from 6 to 7 the Terraform. So for you guys, don't worry, I'll be taking Terraform after completion of the Kubernetes, right? In the month of February, something like that, right? At that time, I will take the Terraform for all of you, right? Terraform is a very big topic, as I told. You need to give more time for me. Minimum some 40 sessions I'm going to take on Terraform. It's a very lengthy topic, so I need more time for that because I have to cover Terraform for creating an infra project both on Azure as well as AWS. So I'll be exclusively taking a lot of things this time for your batch on Azure side also. Even GCP side also I will try to do it. So all these three cloud platform provisioning I will try to cover for your batch actually. And many other advanced things have come up with the Terraform that also I'll be covering for you all. That's what it will take around for 40 to 45 sessions. It will take me to complete on Terraform, right? So for this batch which I'm taking, right, hardly I might take around 35 to 40 sessions I will take. So few of the things I show to those students actually, but I may not able to cover all the advanced topic, but for you guys I will cover advanced topic also. Okay. So with that, let me stop the recording, guys. Sorry guys, I took a lengthy session today, but yeah, I thought in one go I will try to complete this.